Hey guys, Naked Vault Dweller here, and let's start with something simple. It's not a stat, it's not a headline, it's a moment. Think back to the first time you logged into Fallout 76 and realized you weren't alone. Not NPCs, not quests, an actual living, breathing human being. And maybe you were a little suspicious when you first saw them, and rightly so, because Fallout has taught us to be suspicious of people. And then something unexpected happened. They didn't shoot you, they didn't grief you, they didn't take anything from you. And I'd actually be willing to bet that they went up and beyond the Call of Duty to help you out with something. And whether you realize that at the time or not, that moment is the reason Fallout 76 is still alive today. So when people ask, is Fallout 76 still alive, they usually mean one of three things. Are people still playing Fallout 76? Is it worth starting Fallout 76 this year? And am I going to feel alone when I log into the servers? And those are some fair questions, but none of them get to the truth, because games don't die when player counts dip. Games die when connections disappear. And Fallout 76 never lost that. In fact, it may be stronger today than it ever has been. And yes, we can look at the Steam stats and see that the game is thriving forward. Yes, we can see concurrency, and we can see participation spikes during updates, new seasons, and new events added to the game. And what those numbers do tell us is that there's a whole lot of consistency going on. Players logging in every day, players returning after long breaks, players coming back when something new drops or when nothing new happens. And no, before you ask, we don't have the public numbers for Xbox and PlayStation. And that's not Bethesda hiding the real stats from us, it's just how consoles work. But here's the thing that nobody puts on the chart. If Fallout 76 was dead, we would feel it. You would load into events alone, you would see empty servers, you would build a camp that no one ever visited, you would list items in your vendor that never got sold, you'd basically just emote into the void. And that's not what happens. What happens is people show up, and they often show up in the best of ways. And we all see that time and time again in this game. All right. Another question I want you guys to think about. Why do players with hundreds and sometimes thousands of hours like me still log into Fallout 76? They've done all the quests, they optimized all their builds, they've beaten the majority of all the bosses. So why log in? Because Fallout 76 stopped being about content a long time ago. Now, I'm not throwing shade. We often get new content, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Players log back in and play because of routine, because it's familiar, because they feel like they belong to a community. It's logging in and recognizing names. Is knowing where people like to build. It's showing up to an event and already knowing how it's going to go and loving that anyway. And to me, that's not accidental, that's community. And if you can remember, that's not how Bethesda originally designed the game. Originally, Bethesda designed the game with sheer chaos in mind. There were no real NPCs in the game, they were just bots that you had to interact with. So if you saw a human player, more often than not, they're probably going to kill you. It was truly the Wild Wild West. But there has been an evolution of the community in Fallout 76, which has made it so strong. So let's talk about behavior, because Fallout 76 players behave differently than any other online game experience I've ever participated in. I've seen in events where players revive people they don't know, and a horde of people to rush over and give them a rusty stim pack needle to the neck. I've seen players wait for other players before starting events. Excluding headhunts, let's not start a conversation about that. I've seen other players drop plans, ammo, stems, not because the game tells you to, but because it feels wrong not to. And let's think about that. In most online games, efficiency wins. In Fallout 76, patience wins. And that doesn't come from patch notes or some unwritten rule. That comes from players deciding what kind of place Appalachia would be and acting on it. So if you're new to Fallout 76, especially if you came here after watching the Fallout TV show on Amazon, listen closely. Your first few hours will probably decide everything for you. You'll feel overwhelmed, the systems will be unfamiliar, the map is massive, and nothing explains itself very well. And then, more often than not, something will happen. Players that have been in the game for a little while will often take you under their wing and equip you with the items you might need, or show you the process of how things kind of work. And suddenly, this isn't just a game, it's a welcome. And that moment is why Fallout 76 retains players better than people think. Not because the game is perfect, because we kind of know the truth about that, but because players soften the rough edges. Now, speaking of the veteran players, when you've done everything, what keeps you logging in? It's not loot, not progression, it's purpose. It's knowing that you're part of someone else's first impression. And Fallout 76 thrives because veterans don't hoard knowledge, they pass it on. And we don't just play the game anymore, we help maintain the culture. And look, content creators don't just keep making Fallout 76 videos if no one's watching. Guides, builds, event breakdowns, and season discussions, and this kind of ecosystem exists because the community is still alive, it's still curious, and it's still engaged. And that's not nostalgia, that's momentum. And folks, Fallout 76 sits in a strange, powerful place. It doesn't replace Fallout 3, it doesn't replace New Vegas, It doesn't replace Fallout 4. It does connect them all together. Uh-oh, here comes all the comments. But here's how it does connect. It connects single-player fans, multiplayer skeptics, TV show newcomers, and longtime wastelanders. It's a shared space where everybody can coexist. And those shared spaces don't survive without people choosing to care about the system. And that's the multiplayer folks, those are the single-player folks, and that is, of course, Bethesda too. So redefining the word alive. Alive isn't trending, alive isn't a headline, alive isn't Twitch viewership, alive is players helping each other, players returning after long breaks, players staying even though they don't have to. Alive is the Fallout 76 community. Now for all the naysayers, this isn't just blind praise. Fallout 76 wasn't always easy. It wasn't always smooth, and by golly, it wasn't always fair either. But what has been created here, intentionally or not, is something very rare in the online gaming space. A player-driven culture that rewards kindness, patience, and cooperation. And that's not something you can manufacture. That comes from giving people space to care about what they're doing. And that's not some abstract idea. That's not a feel-good line. That's something you can see every single time you log into the game. You see it when a public event pops up and people actually show up. You see it when someone waits instead of starting it early. And you see it when a level 500 player slows down long enough for a level 20 to keep up with them. That doesn't happen by accident. Fallout 76 only works the way it works because players decided this wasteland was going to be different. Think about how many systems in this game depend on other people. Most public events don't even feel right without other players being around. Sometimes daily ops doesn't feel right without other team players. Think of cloaking and resilient. And obviously player vendors don't work without trust. This game doesn't just allow community, it requires it. And the crazy part, most of that community behavior isn't rewarded by XP caps or loot. It's rewarded by something else, something you can't put a number to, which is recognition, belonging, and routine. Every Fallout 76 player has their own reason for logging in. Some people log in for the world, the music, the hills, the way Appalachia feels familiar even after years away. And for many of us, it's just a creature comfort. Fallout 76 hasn't survived because it's perfect, it's survived because players have always filled the gap. When systems were confusing, players explained them. When the game didn't teach something well, players stepped in. When someone was new, overwhelmed, or lost, someone else showed up. And that's not a marketing ploy or a bullet point, that's a culture. If you're watching this and looking for more engagement in the community, allow me to extend an invitation to our Discord server. The link is in the description of this video. We're just a bunch of folks that love playing the game, and you're certainly welcome to be there too. There's no pressure, it's there if you want to join. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to watch the video. I'm the Naked Vault Dweller. Love you, bye.